Hi, welcome to the sleepover. I mostly have only done animation content on this channel, but in my last video I did talk about college a bit, so in like that same vein, I just want to talk about some of the horrible roommates I've had, because it makes for good content, I guess. And I've had like so much bad luck with roommates, and I know exactly why. It's because I'm kind of a doormat and I don't like confronting people, and so people just are shitty to me, especially like living in the same place. I hate bossing people around, and I feel like that's like the main issue here. I like can't set boundaries properly. But first year was okay. First semester, it was still during lockdown, so I didn't have a roommate in my room yet, but I did have roommates like in my general. There was like a big room and there were 4 rooms inside that room, and each room had 2 beds, and then there were bathrooms on either side. And my side, it was just me and another girl who's in another room, and then the other side there were more people. I want to say maybe 2 or 3. And I didn't talk to them a lot, but whenever I did, it was fine. But then next semester I ended up getting a roommate, and she was like a little bit OCD, but like overall she was fine, and we had a good time and we hung out a lot, and that was great because like at the time I didn't have any friends, and so just like having someone there was really cool. And I made friends with most of the people in that room. There was just one girl who was a transfer student from England who had this friend who was so annoying, and she was over all the time, and she was like 5 years older than all of us, but she was so immature, like even like at my age, at like 18, I was like, oh my god, like this bitch. Like she was such a like attention seeker, and so she would do like stupid things and cross boundaries, especially with like me and another girl specifically, because we were both queer. And so she thought that she could like, I don't know, be creepy with us, but that's not how it is. So yeah, that was fine. I wanted to be roommates with like a few of the same people the next year, but we weren't able to get a room together. So I ended up with a room with 4 other people that knew each other, and I didn't know them. When I moved in, my dad helped me move in, and they were like smoking a bong on the floor, which is like, I have nothing against that, but that just like was not a good look for me and my dad. And most of them were okay. One of them was a huge problem, like fucking terrible. I also got the smallest room out of everyone because they all got to choose their rooms and I didn't. So yeah, I got like a room that had like a big pool in it, and I once tried to move the furniture because I was like, I have no space to do anything, but there wasn't even enough space to like move any of the furniture. Like I don't even know how they got it in there because it was like unmovable. So yeah, that sucked. I did have a good view though. I did have a nice window. Not as good as the room before, but we did have a kitchen that year, which was awesome. Except that people would use my dishes and then not clean them, and I felt like I was always cleaning up after everybody, and especially the girl next door to me, who was always loud. Her alarms would go off really early in the morning. She wouldn't like wake up to them, so she wouldn't turn them off, so they go on forever, and like I was hearing them but she wasn't. And she kept blaming me for everything that she did, because she was friends with everyone else, but she was like the most problematic one. And every time she made a mess, they'd be like in the group chat like, who did this? And she'd be like, I don't know, it's probably Grace. Like, girl, you know it was not me, you know it was you, but you want to be on the good side with your friends. And the first couple times I was like, no, it wasn't me, but then they kept believing her, and so eventually I just had to clean up for her, like after her all the time. Also, she stole a couple of my things. I never got them back. And I know it was her because like if her door would be open, I'd see them in her room. One time, it was spring break, and we all like deep cleaned the entire apartment complex before spring break because we wanted it to be like nice when we got back. And so I was the second person to get back. The person that got back before me was this girl. And I got back and it was a complete mess. It looked nothing like it did when we left. It looked worse than it had ever looked. And it was just her that was there. There was like clothes everywhere. There was dirty dishes everywhere. The sinks were filled with trash. Like, I have no idea what went on. Like what could have even happened, but she trashed that place bad. Everything that we cleaned was disgusting, and I was like, hey, can you like please clean up because everybody's gonna be here soon, and like it should be like clean when they get back. She didn't, so I ended up having to do some of that myself, especially all the dishes. She didn't clean any of her dishes, and I could tell because they stink and they were piling up in the sink. Also, one time, they had a party. Okay, the first time they had a party, they told me, and everything was fine, because, like, I knew ahead of time, and, like, they were loud, but I was able to, like, I don't know, just be on my own and, like, study on my own while it was happening. The next time, they didn't tell me, because they thought I'd be okay with it, because I said yes the first time. And there were about 1 million people, and it was so loud, and it smelled horrible, and like there were so many people that I once tried to open my door to go to the bathroom. It was like sardines packed in a tin. It was how many people that were there, and it was a small apartment. It was not big. Sorry, dorm. And like I was like, oh my god, and it was so loud. And eventually I called my friends and I was like I need to get out of here right now. And so I like I packed a bag and I like opened my door with all the force that I could. And then I locked it because I didn't want people coming in there and trashing it, obviously. And then I like it was so crowded, so I like hopped on some furniture, hopped over the kitchen, and like and like jumped over some people out the door because I could not push past these people. And then I finally I walked with my friends. One of them came and got me. Sorry, two of them came and got me. Then we walked to their apartment, which was not very far. It was only a couple of blocks away. And then I stayed the night there. And then we had pancakes in the morning, which was awesome. That was a great day. But yeah, those roommates were pretty bad. Then third year, I had this friend who I was like pretty close with. I'd probably say at the time they were the closest of all of my friends. So I talked with them the most, and I had classes with them, and I didn't have classes with any of my other friends at the time. So they kept complaining to me about their roommates, which were my friends and their friends. Like our mutual friends. It was like our friend group. And I was finding it to be a little unbelievable, but I didn't. Sorry. I was finding it to be a little unbelievable, but I didn't question it because they were my friend and I trusted them. So, also, before they asked me to be their roommate for the next year, they ghosted me for about a month. And like, I never really knew quite why, but I had an idea of why, but our friendship seemed to be okay before then. But then they started dating someone, and then they just kind of like stopped talking to me because I used to be like the person that they talked to all the time. I guess before they had a partner. So we didn't hang out for a long time. And then they were like, do you want to be my roommate? So at first I was looking at rooms with them and another person. Then the other person dropped out because they just decided that they were going to keep the same apartment that they were living in already, and just get a new roommate, like to to fill the room because their roommate left, and which is why they wanted a new place. But anyway, so I was out of town the whole time that they were like apartment hunting. So they kind of chose like our place based on like our budget and everything, and that was super cool, and I'm really glad that they did that. Like we would both find places like online, and then they would look in person, and then they finally found a place, and it was the cheapest place I ended up staying at, and it was the most spacious and the most like cute. Like it was an older place. It had hardwood floors. Like we were able to find some really nice furniture for the place, and I loved that apartment, but it was in a terrible neighborhood. Like sometimes hear gunshots. Police were on the street a lot. They blocked off the street a lot because police were investigating our neighbors. There were a lot of homeless people that were around in the neighborhood, and one of them followed me home one time and then stared at me from outside my apartment, and I called the police, and they said there's nothing they can do, of course. Luckily I never saw that person again, but I'm guessing maybe someone else reported them. I'm not really sure. Fuck. This thing keeps not working. I don't know when it stopped working. Anyway. Yeah, that was really scary. I did have a security camera. My dad got it for me because he was like, this place is a mess, because he would help me move in, and he was like, this street is horrible, and I want you to feel safe. So I installed the security camera with the help of my landlord. Our landlord was actually pretty cool. And yeah, but my roommate, the thing about that was they were really cheap, and like it's not like they couldn't afford things, they just didn't want to. So I ended up paying a lot of our expenses, which I was okay with at the time. But like looking back on that, I was like, I didn't have to do that. Yeah, I paid our heating bill because they didn't want to turn the heater on. But I get really, really cold because I have an iron deficiency, so I ended up having to turn the heater on. So I ended up paying for our heating bill, and I paid for our electric. Now, they were gone a lot. And when they were here, their boyfriend was over. And they gave their boyfriend was like many times their boyfriend was one of the reasons why they got in a feud with their old roommates, because their old roommates didn't like their boyfriend coming over. Hey, now, like, knowing the situation, I was like, that's not, like, there's clearly boundaries that this person was not, adhering to, because they kept bringing their boyfriend over, because their boyfriend was a huge person, first of all. Was very rude. I know from experience that this person was incredibly rude and kind of toxic. Their relationship seemed to be, I don't know, weird. This person did not seem to be respected. And their old roommate, they shared a room with someone, a small room with somebody. And they kept having to kind of kick that person out to be in there. Which I would be upset. I would be really upset if I was that roommate and I just didn't sign up for this person having someone over all the time, obviously. And I know that their apartment complex was small. It was not that big. They did have a built-in laundry room. That's better than any apartment that I've ever had, but it was small still. And yeah, like, if I were that roommate, I'd, like, probably ask that person to pay more because I kept being kicked out of my own room. So yeah. Yeah, and I guess there were kind of similar issues. I mean, they had their own room, so everything in that department was fine, but they would take up the kitchen a lot, the boyfriend, and would use, I'm a vegan, they ate a lot of meat. They would use my pots and pans and then not clean them, and then I had to end up doing a lot of cleaning up after these two, but especially the boyfriend, which sucked. And then, like, by the end of the time that we were roommates, they just started to, I don't know, like, be very disrespectful about a lot of things that I cared about specifically. Like, whenever we would have conversations, they would kind of tell me that a lot of the values that I had were stupid. Like, I don't really want to get into it too much, but, like, specifically stuff about Palestine, like Free Palestine, which, like, I was a very big, like, advocator and supporter of. And they just, like, would tell me that, like, boycotting was stupid and that, like, any sort of protesting is not going to do anything and, like, stuff like that. And then I was also vegan, and they told me that, like, they also said weird things about that, and they were a vegetarian, and then stopped being a vegetarian, so I thought maybe they'd understand, but they didn't. And it's not like I was, like, trying to enforce any of my beliefs. They would just, like, attack mine if it was ever part of a conversation. Which is funny, because I thought they shared a lot of the same beliefs as me, which is why I thought we were friends, but no. So then I decided to move because my dad wanted me to, because he did not feel that I was safe, and that was a good call, because I was a lot safer the next year. And so they found another roommate to replace me, after I gave them my, like, 2 months notice or something. And that was all fine, except they kept bringing this person over and then ignoring me. Like acting like I wasn't their roommate anymore and this person was already taking over. And I don't know, I just felt kind of hurt like that because we were really good friends before this all happened. And they also just started to disrespect my things, my belongings, and they never stole anything from me, which is good, but they would just like move my stuff without telling me and then tell me that my stuff was bothering them, so they put it away, and like my decorations and stuff and like things that I made, which I thought were cool. And so there was that, and then they just eventually just stopped talking to me. And after I moved out, because I'd always tried to be nice to this person, but it felt like they just were always trying to start a fight and be hostile. And eventually, like after I moved out, I would still try to text them as and like, I don't know, see if we could like hang out and stuff, or I don't know, like do things during the break. And then they just weren't responding to any of my texts, and I was like, that's weird. Figured out that they blocked me on everything without telling me, which was, I don't know, I mean, at that point I was like, obviously this person doesn't respect me, so I don't want to be friends with them anymore, so that's fine. But it just did hurt my feelings a lot. The next year I also got a room with 2 complete strangers because like I don't want to be with a friend again, because that was not a good experience. And it was mostly okay, except at first they did demand a lot of money from me, which they justified at the time, but then I realized that it was kind of stupid. Then I got there. Neither of them were there, but they had already been living there for a year, so like there was stuff there, but they were not there. But I hear a cat meowing, and but I didn't want to open any doors because I didn't want to like invade people's privacy. So the next day, they're still not there. I hear the cat meowing again because I thought, oh, somebody might come home. They might take care of the cat. I don't know. I knew that there was a cat in the apartment, but I knew that it belonged to one specific person. So I didn't want to like intrude, I guess. But then after that second night, I was like, this cat might be in trouble. And it sounds like it's neglected. And this person hasn't been here for at least 2 days. I don't know exactly how long. So eventually I asked them if I can like go and feed the cat. I don't get a response. So eventually I just opened the door, and the cat has no food, no litter box, like no even no water. The cat sprints out and goes directly to the toilet to drink. And I was like, oh my god, like how long has this cat been there with no food or water at all? And that night, so I was like trying to figure out what I could feed this cat. So I opened my roommate's can of tuna. Well, first I tried to make some eggs, and I opened my roommate's can of tuna, and the cat started eating tuna. And I got a bowl of water, and we chilled for a while. I made sure that it didn't, like, I don't know, do anything crazy, I guess. But I was like, oh my god, what kind of people are these that they like are neglecting their pets like this? That's crazy. Like, as someone who cares about animals a lot, that was like, oof, like strike number 1. And then that roommate, the one with the cat, was very hostile towards me. a lot of the time, unless they needed something. If they needed something, then they'd be like, oh my god, hi, like, can you please do blah 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 blah, and then I'd be like, yeah, sure, of course. Then like they'd go right back to like being rude and weird to me. And also they kept stealing my dishes again with the stealing my dishes. The other roommate was totally cool. Like, we were chill. Like, there was never any drama with that roommate. They were awesome. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that roommate. Okay, let's just say that I know that they were the person that stole my dishes, because again, like, if their room was open, I could see that they were all there, like, on top of their fridge. And I got there with 6 cups and like 5 mugs, and I left with 2 cups and like 2 or 3 mugs. And like, when I was moving out, I kept being like, hey guys, if you know where any of my dishes are, just like leave them by the counter and I'll clean them whenever I need to pack them. I knew that this person had them. They didn't say anything. And that's like the most annoying part, is it's like, you could have just like confessed and said yes, and then like I would have been okay with it, because I would have gotten my dishes still. So yeah. And a lot of those mugs were like really cool, like limited edition stuff that I really was fond of, and I just never saw it again. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna end this later.